wondered what happens when a sacred object, a symbol of divine presence, gets treated like a weapon of mass destruction? Well, we're about to dive into the incredible story of the Ark of the Covenant. This is a story about faith, yeah, but also about superstition and the terrifying, world-shaking power that gets unleashed when people get the two confused. So let's start with this question. Just imagine for a second, what happens when a nation's most sacred symbol, the very thing that represents its connection to God, is captured by its worst enemy? For ancient Israel, this wasn't just some what-if scenario. This was a real-life national nightmare, and the fallout was something no one could have ever predicted. Okay, so our story kicks off at a place called Ebenezer. The nation of Israel is in the middle of a brutal war against their longtime enemies, the Philistines. And, well, it's not going well. They're desperate, they're demoralized, and they're about to make a huge, and I mean huge, mistake. To give you an idea of how bad it was, they had just lost 4,000 soldiers in a single battle. 4,000. Morale was completely crushed. So the leaders get together trying to figure out what to do, and they come up with a plan that they think is a guaranteed win. And here is where they got it so wrong. They decide, hey, let's go get the Ark of the Covenant and bring it right onto the battlefield. See, they weren't turning to God for help. They were treating the Ark like it was some kind of magical good luck charm. They thought the box had the power, totally missing the point that real strength comes from being on God's side, not from carrying around a symbol of Him. The result? Oh, it was an absolute catastrophe. Not only did they suffer an even worse defeat, but the unthinkable happened. The Philistines actually captured the Ark. Eli's two sons, the priest who brought it into battle, were killed. And when the news reached the 98-year-old high priest Eli, the shock was so great that he fell backward off his chair, broke his neck, and died. Just like that, the nation's entire leadership was wiped out. The shame was just so deep, so complete, that when Eli's daughter-in-law heard the news, she went into labor and, with her dying breath, named her newborn son Ichabod. It means the glory has departed from Israel. Can you imagine? Naming your child after the nation's darkest day? But believe it or not, the story is far from over, because now the Ark is in enemy territory. The Philistines are celebrating, thinking they've just won the ultimate prize. They're about to find out that capturing a holy object is one thing, controlling its power is something else entirely. Their greatest trophy is about to become their greatest curse. In a moment of just supreme arrogance, the Philistines haul the Ark to their capital city, Ashdod, and stick it in the temple of their main god, Dagon. They place it right next to Dagon's statue, basically as a way of saying, see, our god beat your god. So the next morning, the priests walk in and, whoops, their statue of Dagon has fallen flat on its face right in front of the Ark. They're probably annoyed, so they just prop it back up. But the next morning, it's happened again. And this time, its head and its hands have been broken clean off. Only the stump of the statue is left. A very clear message was being sent. And it wasn't just their idol. A plague of horrible, painful tumors breaks out all over the city of Ashdod. In a total panic, they decide to get the Ark out of there, so they send it to the next Philistine city, Gath. Guess what? The exact same thing happens there. So they try to send it to Ekron, and the people of Ekron literally cry out in terror, saying, don't bring that thing here. The Ark was like a divine weapon, and it was pointed right at them. So, after 7 months of this living nightmare, the Philistines are desperate. They have to get rid of the Ark. But they want to be 100% sure that these plagues are from the God of Israel and not just some freakish coincidence. So, their priests come up with this brilliant and seemingly impossible test. Okay, let's really break this down, because every single step here is designed to fail. First, they get 2 mother cows that have never ever been yoked to a cart before, so they're untrained. Then, and this is the genius part, they take their nursing calves away from them, so you've got 2 untrained mother cows whose babies are crying for them back in the pen. Every natural instinct should make these cows either go nowhere, wander off, or turn right around and go back to their calves. But what actually happened was nothing short of a miracle. Fighting every single instinct, those 2 cows started walking. And they walked in a perfectly straight line, mooing for their calves the whole way, but never turning back. They walked straight down the road, right into Israelite territory. The Philistines had their answer. This was, without a doubt, the hand of God. So the Israelites are overjoyed to see the ark coming back, but their celebration turns to horror fast. You'd think, after everything that happened, they'd have learned their lesson about respecting this holy object. But no, some of the men of the town, out of sheer curiosity, decided to look inside the ark.
And the price for that disrespect was absolutely devastating. 50,070 of them were struck down. The lesson was brutal, but it was crystal clear. God's holiness demands reverence, and it doesn't matter if you're an enemy or one of his own people.
After that tragedy, the ark was taken to a quiet house, and it stayed there for 20 long years. The whole nation just mourned. But after 2 decades, a new leader comes onto the scene, the prophet Samuel. And he's got a new message for Israel. He's going to teach them that the real path to victory isn't about a wooden box. It's about what's in your heart. Samuel's message couldn't have been clearer. He basically said, look, if you're serious about returning to the Lord, then prove it. Get rid of all your foreign gods, all your idols. Commit yourselves to serve the Lord and only the Lord, and he will save you. And you know what? It worked. The people listened. The entire nation came together at a place called Mizpah. They fasted, they prayed, and they stood up and publicly confessed everything they'd done wrong. They were finally getting it. Now, when the Philistines heard that all of Israel was gathered in one place, they thought, perfect, it's an ambush. So they launched another attack. And this sets the stage for one final showdown, right back where this whole tragic story started, at Ebenezer. But this time was different. This time, Israel didn't have the ark on the battlefield. They had something much, much better. They had God on their side. As the Philistine army advanced, the Lord sent a massive, deafening clap of thunder that threw them into a complete panic, and Israel won a huge, decisive victory. And to mark this incredible moment, this total turnaround, Samuel took a large stone and set it up as a memorial. He gave it a name that captured the powerful truth of the day. Thus far, the Lord has helped us. He named that stone Ebenezer, which literally means the stone of help. That rock would stand as a permanent reminder that their help didn't come from an object or a ritual, but directly from God himself. And just look at that transformation. Ebenezer, the exact same place. It went from being the site of their most humiliating defeat to the site of their most triumphant victory. All because they finally learned to stop trusting in a symbol and started trusting in God. And that, right there, made all the difference. This whole story really leaves us with a pretty big question for our own lives, doesn't it? What are the arcs we carry around? The symbols, maybe of success or security or identity, that we sometimes risk confusing for the real source of power and strength. It's a great reminder to always look past the symbols to what they're actually supposed to be pointing to. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.